10 wall exercises that the Japanese do every morning for a body that never ages. While many people at 70 are already relying on a cane, in Japan there are nearly 100,000 people living beyond 100 years old, with the highest life expectancy on the planet. And the secret is not in expensive supplements or heavy gym training. It lies in a simple idea that the Western world still has not understood. Exercise cannot be a burden. It needs to fit into the daily routine, every single day, without pain and without impact. That is exactly why the Japanese value wall exercises so much. They do not overload the joints, they fit in a bedroom or living room, and can be done in just a few minutes right after you wake up. So today you will see 10 wall exercises that the Japanese do every morning for a body that treats age as just a number. And take it easy, you do not need to do all of them. Stay focused until the end, look at each one, and incorporate into your routine the ones that work best for you. If you manage to do 3 or 4 of them consistently, that is already more than enough. Before we get started, please leave a comment below with your name and the city you are watching from. We would love to know. Exercise number 1, dead bug against the wall. This first movement is one of the favorites to start the day because it activates the core without generating any impact on the spine. Unlike the traditional dead bug done entirely on the floor, here you use the wall as a reference point for your feet, which helps keep the lower back stable throughout the entire movement and makes execution much easier for beginners. The main benefit lies in the muscle recruitment of the deep core, including the transverse abdominis, which works like a natural belt protecting your lower back. Regular practitioners often notice a noticeable improvement in pelvic stability within the first few weeks, which helps prevent back pain throughout the day. To perform the exercise, lie on your back with your knees bent at 90 degrees and your feet resting against the wall, forming a right angle between the hip and the knee. Extend one arm back, above your head, while the other remains resting at the side of your body. The lower back must always stay in contact with the floor, without arching, from the beginning to the end of the repetition. An extra tip is to exhale completely as the arm extends, reinforcing the core contraction. A common mistake is letting the lower back lift off the floor, which removes the tension from the abdomen and transfers the load to the spine. Start with 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions per side, later progressing to 12 to 15 repetitions. It is safe for almost all ages, but anyone with an acute lumbar disc herniation should seek professional guidance before including it in their routine. If you already find 15 repetitions easy, the simplest progression is not to add more repetitions, but rather to hold the extended arm for 2 extra seconds on each movement, increasing the time under tension of the core without complicating the execution. For anyone who feels discomfort in the neck, a good alternative is to rest your head on a folded towel. Exercise number 2, wall march. Lean your back against the wall and begin marching in place, alternately raising your knees. It seems too simple to work, but it is exactly that simplicity that makes it a pillar of the Japanese morning routine. It wakes up the nervous system, improves proprioception, and also works the core isometrically while you balance yourself. A study published in Geriatrics Journal showed that simple stationary marching programs, practiced daily, are associated with a significant reduction in the risk of falls in people over 60 years old, since the exercise demands constant recruitment of the hip and ankle stabilizers. To perform it, keep your spine and head against the wall, raise one knee to hip height, lower it with control, and repeat on the other side, always at a steady rhythm. The arms can move naturally as in a normal walk, to help with coordination between the upper and lower limbs. The tip here is to keep the abdomen slightly contracted throughout the entire movement, preventing the torso from swaying from side to side. A common mistake is raising the knees too quickly, losing control and the quality of the muscular activation, which is the true purpose of the movement. Do 2 to 3 sets of 30 to 45 seconds, gradually increasing to 60 seconds as your conditioning improves. People with dizziness or labyrinthitis during a flare-up should take extra care and, if necessary, lightly rest their hands on the wall during the movement. A simple progression is to reduce the rest time between sets, going from 30 to 20 seconds as your conditioning improves, which increases the cardiovascular demand of the exercise. For those looking for even more of a challenge, raising the knees slightly higher with each march is enough without needing to change the structure of the movement. Exercise number 3, wall push-up. If the traditional push-up still intimidates you, this is the perfect entry point. And I will admit that I also started right here before being able to do the floor version. The wall push-up works the chest, shoulders, and triceps with much less load on the joints, making it ideal for early in the morning when the body is still warming up. The upper chest tends to be the most difficult region to develop, precisely because of the muscle insertion and the angle of work required, which is why scapular retraction during the movement is essential to protect the shoulders and better distribute the load among the chest, deltoids, and triceps. To perform it, stand facing the wall about one step away, place your palms against the wall at shoulder height, and bend your elbows, bringing your chest toward the wall. Then push back until your arms are fully extended. Keep your body straight like an inclined plank from start to finish. An extra tip is to slow down the eccentric phase, meaning the moment when your body moves toward the wall, since this phase concentrates a large part of the muscle recruitment potential. A common mistake is letting the hips drop, or projecting the head forward, which removes the tension from the chest. Do 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, increasing the number of repetitions before increasing the difficulty. People with recent injuries to the shoulder or wrist should adjust the range of motion or seek guidance before practicing. When 15 repetitions become easy, the safest progression is to take a step back, moving your feet farther from the wall, which naturally increases the load on the chest and triceps without requiring any advanced technique. For beginners who find it difficult, moving closer to the wall reduces the initial demand. Exercise number 4. Glute bridge with feet against the wall. The gluteus maximus is the largest muscle in the human body, something the vast majority of people do not know, and yet it tends to be neglected in training routines, especially among men. This bridge with your feet resting against the wall is a simple way to activate this muscle group early in the day, without needing any equipment. In addition to the gluteus maximus, the movement recruits the hamstrings since both work together in hip extension. Strengthening this posterior chain helps stabilize the pelvis, protects the lower back, and also contributes to a more lasting metabolic effect after the workout, thanks to the higher energy expenditure of the large muscle groups involved. To perform it, lie on your back with your feet resting against the wall and your knees bent close to 90 degrees, then raise your hips toward the ceiling, squeezing your glutes firmly at the top of the movement, and lower with control without letting your hips touch the floor between repetitions. The extra tip here is to squeeze your glutes with full force for 1 second at the top of each repetition, increasing muscle recruitment. A common mistake is using the lower back to drive the movement instead of the glutes, which unnecessarily overloads the spine. Start with 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions, progressing to 3 to 4 sets as your strength improves. People with acute lower back pain should reduce the range of motion and, in the case of persistent pain, seek professional evaluation. A simple and effective progression is to increase the isometric contraction time at the top of the movement, going from 1 to 3 seconds before lowering. This small change already significantly intensifies the muscle recruitment of the gluteus maximus without needing any extra load or additional equipment. Exercise number 5. Wall sit. Also known as a wall squat, this is a classic isometric exercise, and perhaps the one that most generates that burning sensation in the legs first thing in the morning. It intensely works the quadriceps, while also requiring recruitment of the glutes and core to maintain posture throughout the entire duration. Research on isometric training indicates that sustaining a contraction for periods between 30 and 60 seconds is already enough to generate meaningful gains in muscular endurance, especially in beginners or those returning to exercise after a period of inactivity. To perform it, lean your back against the wall and slide down until your knees form an angle of approximately 90 degrees, as if you were sitting in an invisible chair. Keep your feet hip-width apart and your weight distributed equally between both sides of the body. The extra tip is to maintain steady breathing throughout the entire time under tension, since many people hold their breath without realizing it. A common mistake is letting the knees go past the line of the toes, which increases pressure on the joint unnecessarily. Start by holding for 20 to 30 seconds for 3 sets, gradually increasing the time up to 60 seconds. People with serious knee problems or meniscus injuries should reduce the angle of flexion or avoid this exercise until cleared by a professional. If you can already hold 60 seconds with ease, the simplest progression is to go from 3 to 4 sets before trying to increase the time even further. For those just starting out, a good adjustment is to slightly increase the knee angle, making the position less demanding until you build more endurance. Exercise number 6, wall plank. This inclined version of the traditional plank works the core as a whole, including the spinal erectors, and also recruits the shoulder stabilizers, since the arms remain supported against the wall throughout the entire movement. It is a great alternative for anyone who feels wrist discomfort in the floor plank. It is worth remembering that abdominal hypertrophy and definition are 2 different things. The muscles can grow with training, but becoming visibly defined depends mainly on body fat percentage, which is much more connected to nutrition than to any isolated exercise, no matter how intense. To perform it, rest your forearms against the wall at shoulder height and step your feet back until your body forms a straight line from your head to your heels. Contract your abdomen and glutes, keeping your hips aligned without letting them rise too high or sink toward the floor. The extra tip is to imagine that you are trying to pull your navel toward your spine throughout the entire movement, intensifying the muscle recruitment of the deep core. A common mistake is holding your breath, which reduces the muscular endurance available to sustain the position. Hold for 20 to 40 seconds per set for 3 sets, gradually increasing the time as your endurance improves. People with uncontrolled high blood pressure should take extra care with prolonged isometric exercises and, if necessary, reduce the hold time. The ideal progression here is to increase the hold time in blocks of 10 seconds, whenever you can maintain correct posture from start to finish. If you feel your hips shaking or losing alignment before the set is over, that is a sign that it is time to simply end the set. Exercise number 7. Wall kickback. This exercise isolates the gluteus maximus even further, using the wall as support to improve balance during the unilateral movement. The pelvic stabilization function performed by the glutes is essential for preventing lower back pain and improving performance in simple daily activities, such as climbing stairs. To perform it, place your hands on the wall at shoulder height, keep your torso slightly leaning forward, and extend one leg back, squeezing the glute at the top of the movement without using momentum or swaying your body. Return with control and repeat before switching sides. The extra tip is to keep your hips always facing the wall, avoiding rotating them during the kickback, which reduces glute activation and transfers the effort to the lower back. A common mistake is raising the leg too high, arching the back to compensate for the lack of range of motion in the hip. Do 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions per side, progressing the time under tension by lowering the leg more slowly. People with hip bursitis or acute pain in the lower back region should reduce the range of motion and, if they feel discomfort, stop the movement. A good progression is to go from 3 to 4 sets before increasing repetitions, always keeping the quality of the movement above quantity. If you notice that one side of the body tires much sooner than the other, that is normal, and it is worth paying a little extra attention to that side over the coming weeks. Exercise number 8, tibialis raise. Unlike the calf, which is on the back of the leg, the tibialis anterior is on the front of the shin, and it is precisely this neglected muscle that this exercise targets. Strengthening this region improves ankle dorsiflexion, helps with balance, and is one of the simplest ways to prevent sprains. A study with runners showed that strengthening the tibialis anterior is associated with a reduction in the incidence of shin pain, since this muscle works by decelerating the foot with each step, absorbing part of the impact that would otherwise overload the ankle joint. To perform it, lean your back and heels against the wall with your feet slightly away from it, and raise your toes toward your shins, keeping your heels fixed on the floor, then lower with control until your toes almost touch the floor again. The extra tip is to perform the movement slowly and in a controlled manner. Since the range of motion is small and the main benefit comes from time under tension, a common mistake is using momentum or moving too quickly, which drastically reduces muscle recruitment. Start with 3 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions, since this is a muscle that responds well to longer sets. People with ankle tendinitis in an acute phase should reduce the range of motion or pause the exercise until the condition improves. As a progression, increase the repetitions from 20 to 25 before thinking about any other change, since this small muscle responds very well to volume. A practical alternative for anyone who feels discomfort leaning fully against the wall is to move the heels slightly away from it, reducing the pressure in that area. Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Having constant access to science-based information is what will help you progress with health over the long term in the world of exercise. Exercise number 9, wall angel. The shoulder is a complex joint that needs balance among the anterior, lateral, and posterior portions, and it is precisely the posterior portion, so often forgotten, that this exercise prioritizes. It also improves scapular mobility and helps correct that rounded posture typical of people who spend the day sitting down. To perform it, lean your back, head, and arms against the wall, with your elbows bent at a 90-degree angle as if you were surrendering. Slide your arms upward, trying to keep as much contact with the wall as possible, then slide back down to the starting position. The extra tip is to prioritize range of motion over speed, maintaining constant contact between the arms and the wall, which ensures a much more complete muscle recruitment of the shoulder stabilizers. A common mistake is arching the lower back to compensate for a lack of mobility in the shoulders. If you cannot maintain full contact with the wall at first, do not worry. It is normal, and the range of motion tends to improve with regular practice. Reduce the distance between your arms and the wall until you are able to perform the full movement. Do 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions, with slow and controlled movements. People with shoulder impingement syndrome or rotator cuff injuries should reduce the range of motion and avoid forcing beyond the comfortable point. The simplest progression is to increase the repetitions from 12 to 15 before any other adjustment, always prioritizing keeping the arms in contact with the wall. You will know you are doing it correctly when you feel a slight fatigue between the shoulder blades at the end of the set, a sign that the shoulder stabilizers were well recruited. Exercise number 10, legs up the wall. To close the routine, this last exercise moves slightly away from the pattern of the previous ones, since its focus is not hypertrophy, but recovery. Lying with your legs resting up the wall promotes venous return, helping blood circulation after an entire night of sleep and before starting the day. To perform it, lie on your back close to the wall, raise your legs, and rest them fully extended against the surface, forming a 90-degree angle between your torso and your legs. Your arms can rest relaxed at the sides of your body, with your palms facing upward. The extra tip is to close your eyes and breathe deeply throughout the entire time in the position, activating the parasympathetic nervous system and enhancing the relaxing effect of the exercise before you begin your daily activities. A common mistake is forcing the hips too close to the wall, creating discomfort in the lower back. Stay in this position for 3 to 5 minutes, gradually increasing the time as you feel the need. People with glaucoma, elevated intraocular pressure, or serious heart conditions should avoid prolonged inverted positions and consult a professional before practicing. If you feel tingling in your legs, simply bend your knees slightly or move your hips a little away from the wall, adjusting the angle until you find a comfortable position. Over time, many practitioners naturally increase the hold to up to 10 minutes without any effort, simply because of the sense of relaxation it provides. Now, if you enjoyed this and want to step away from the Japanese calm and see more intense exercises, we are showing right now on the screen a video where we cover some isometric exercises used to transform ordinary people into strength machines on the level of the best American soldiers. I have not seen anyone else talking about this, so make sure you check it out. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and may God bless you, my friend.